It's a shame that the court would even have to say something like that, but...
I take issue with any type of suggestion that this was not a direct communication with the court. It went from Madam D.A. Fonnie Willis to this court.
The elected DA, Ms. Willis, made a decision to respond.
It was a direct communication to this court. It was inappropriate.
But, as you all know, because I forwarded the next communication to everybody.
It was praising Georgia's RICO statutes to the court, which, again, was not appropriate, Your Honor.
I believe that to be ex parte, and that is the reason why, as soon as I read it, I had Ms. Persifield forward it to all counsel, because I don't think that should be going on.
If you're new, make sure y'all hit that notification bell, that like, share, comment, and subscribe. Grab a seat. We finna dig deep.
What's up, family, and welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, Jay, and man, y'all know we back with an update with this Young Thug YSL RICO trial. Now, today's developments and evidence definitely had the courtroom heating up, and trust me, you don't want to miss this breakdown of how the state is actually playing their cards, especially after today's revelation. So y'all definitely make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed, and definitely turn that notification bell on so you won't miss a drop with any of these updates. Y'all ready? Let's dig. Now, today actually started off with no jury and no love in the courtroom. Now, interesting, even though today is a non-jury day, today actually started off just like any other day with another surprise from the state. Let's dig.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Good morning.
I appreciate you forwarding to us the ex parte communications you received from Madam D.A. Fonnie Willis. Given the sensitivity and the history in this case of ex parte meetings or maybe communications, would you just please request the state? I understand probably what was behind that communications, and of course it is great for a boss to buck up an underling who has perhaps been attacked or maligned, but I don't believe that, and I don't think the court does either, that the court should have been copied on that communications, especially one that reads maybe more like a campaign ad with a source story in it than anyway, I just don't believe it was appropriate, and I would just ask you to please ask the state to halt any future communications ex parte they might want to have with this court. That's all I have to say. Thank you, Your Honor.
It's a shame that the court would even have to say something like that, but can you all please communicate to everybody in the DA's office to not have any sort of ex parte communications with the court? And y'all may not even know what I'm talking about because I don't think either of you was copied on that email, but Ms. Love was. Ms. Hilton, you were as well?
I do, Your Honor, and I don't know, I know exactly what you're talking about. I think we have a different perception of direct communication with the court, but we
But the
make
court
sure
was
that
copied on it. And it could have been an accident, but
Your Honor,
it should have been careful.
but the state did not have the initial conversation with the court. That was
No, I
a
know
community member, and it was very much also was not a direct communication with the court, but we understand the court's perspective. We understand what the court is saying.
Oh, excuse me. I just need to take issue with the fact that it wasn't a direct communication from the court. I'm sorry. Excuse me. Can you hear me now? I didn't mean to act like Max Sharp. I take issue with any type of suggestion that this was not a direct communication with the court. It went from Madam D.A. Fonnie Willis to this court. It was a direct communication to this court. It was inappropriate. It was praising Georgia's RICO statutes to the court, which, again, was not appropriate, Your Honor.
Frankly, I think it might be a good idea to print out the email and make it a court's exhibit to this record. But I think what Ms. Hilton was just saying was that the original communication was not from the district attorney's office. The original communication was, I don't know who this person is or where in the world they are, but some member of the world, member of the public, emailing Ms. Love directly, but copying several other people, the court included, because of course our email addresses are a matter of public record. And, you know, I basically ignored it and deleted it, as you all know, because I forwarded the next communication to everybody. The elected DA, Ms. Willis, made a decision to respond and directed that response to Ms. Love, but kept everybody, including the person who had made the original email communication, and the court on her response to Ms. Love. And I believe that to be ex parte, and that is the reason why, as soon as I read it, I had Ms. Persifield forward it to all counsel, because I don't think that should be going on.
So the day actually started off wild when the judge revealed yet another alleged ex parte meeting between the state and, get this, the DA herself, Fannie Willis. Now clearly we are talking about an email chain discovery that's now been brought to the light to the courts and the defense. But ask yourself this, did the state actually get caught up in another private communication that raises real red flags with this trial? Now if you've been following this trial, you already know that these ex parte meetings can raise serious questions about the fairness and transparency of the court, the judicial system, and this process. But is the DA the one who's actually behind the scenes pulling the strings on these defendants' right to a fair trial and due process? Let that sink in.
Should be going on.
I certainly appreciated that, Your Honor.
And
Thank
the
you.
court really has ignored entirely the substance of the communication because the court is not making any decisions based on whether I think the RICO statute is good or bad. That's not what judges do. The legislature enacts statutes. I apply them hopefully correctly.
And I have no
or
concern.
whether anybody thinks any attorney is doing a good or a bad job. I'm just sitting here trying to follow the law.
Yeah, and I'm not concerned about any impact on the court from that communication.
Yeah.
It's just the
Shouldn't be
communication
happening.
itself. Thank
Yeah.
you.
So, Ms. Pursfield, if you don't mind printing that out. And I have no idea what court exhibit number we're on, but if somebody can figure that out, we'll number it, court's exhibit number, whatever the next one is. Do you know?
Your Honor, our numbering system is broken down by act, which is why we have the different letters. So
Oh, no.
talking about the
Court
court
exhibits.
I will check that, Your Honor.
We don't know, Your Honor.
I mean, I don't know either, but somebody does. The court reporter, or the last court reporter, maybe. But anyway, we'll get that figured out and make that a court's exhibit.
Now, what was the alleged ex parte chain of emails that the judge is actually referring to? Let's dig. As you see, it says, "Dear Miss Love, I've been watching your behavior for quite some time now, and I'm wondering, how could you be so bad at your job after all these years of experience? The new judge who was trying to help you, not as much as Euro did initially, is fed up with you finally. Now, you are ruining your career and what's left of the reputation that you have in the Fulton County DA's office. Please just rest this case or you will get into so much more trouble. Maybe you're going to lose your job and will have issues finding a new one because your unprofessional behavior and your haphazard and unorganized ways of working are on display for everyone to see. Please just do the right thing. You are going to lose this case anyway." Damn. Because you lost a jury about 6 months ago already. Fact or not. All right. Now, and what's eventually going to come out is that Young Thug is innocent anyway. He's not effing Pablo Escobar, but you are acting like it. Just stop. Please, Miss Love. Kind regards. From Germany. Let that sink in. Now here is the actual response from the DA's office directly. "Miss Love, please ignore this foolishness as you know the elected district attorney is extremely proud of you." Like she ain't talking about herself. More bolstering, right? "And believes you to be a huge asset to this office and our community. You have no chance of losing your job and your service is greatly appreciated. Folks who have never tried cases will always have nasty things to say, but while they criticize from the sidelines, they fill the arena. They are not risking life and limb to keep our community safe. Let me tell you an anecdote of encouragement this morning. A good friend of mine called this weekend and said she was in an Uber and the Uber drive randomly began talking about being from Memphis and how much the violence there was in Memphis. She said the Uber driver said in Memphis, they do not have the ability to do a RICO. He said, I am so proud of our DA here in Atlanta and her YSL team. They are not afraid and they are fighting for justice." Then she goes to say, "I tell you this random anecdote to encourage you to brush your shoulders off and to keep your eye on the prize, which will always be justice. Please know that your boss gets 100 nasty messages and 100 nice messages a day. I focus on one thing every day, representing my community in a way that is fair. I'm asking you to continue to focus on justice and ignore the haters. I'm extremely proud of you. Now go make it an amazing day." Well, where she was going to do that at? Not with this case and not with this trial. But hold on, we finna talk about it. Actually stood out to me for a number of reasons. For one, why is the DA on here talking like she's not talking about herself, but she talking to herself? And who is she talking to besides herself? Another story. For two, it lets you see all the hands that's actually involved and all eyes that are actually paying attention to this case. And for three, it lets you see, again, the state is doing anything they can just to control the narrative, create this theory of RICO conspiracy. But ask yourself this, when Mr. Sprinkle was up on the stand last week, was it just me or did y'all see him actually looking like he was communicating with the DA? Now, interesting, we're back today because they brought him right up on the stand so the judge can actually address this issue. Are we expecting the truth from the state or some more allegations and lies? Let's dig.
Right now, but when I read that, go ahead and sit down. You're sworn, you're already sworn, you've been a witness in this for days on end.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, so you're still under oath, and I'm going to recall your attention to, I think it was the last day of your testimony, but it was, there was a laptop on the witness stand, and you accessed it.
Yes.
And you actually did that without anybody asking you to, or asking the court's permission. But can you tell me what all you looked at on the laptop?
Yeah, I had my supplement, that 140-page document, and I also had some of the stuff that I pulled during the case. Everything that's already been turned over in discovery, just in case I need to refresh my recollection. But primarily, it was just it was a digital version of the report that I had on the stand. That was it. So I could do word searches. So if I was asked a question, I wouldn't have to be flipping through pages and looking for things.
Okay. Was there any point in time when you accessed anything else other than that report and the files that were connected to that?
No.
Okay. Did you in any way read any communication that came in at any time from anybody?
No, I wasn't communicating with anybody. I didn't have email open or anything like that. All I was looking at was the report and the digital media, like the discs that I brought to the stand with me, that stuff that was on the discs and the stuff that was turned over in discovery. That was it.
All right. We may call you back at some point with regard to this a motion that has just been filed after lunch. Are you going to be around this afternoon? And I don't know whether you'd be needed for that or not. Haven't read it in detail, nor do we have a response from the state yet. But would you be available this afternoon if we need you?
Well, I'm just one floor up, Your Honor, in courtroom 2B. I do have a couple of cases, but I mean, the short answer to your question is I will be in the building in the moment I can peel
and
away.
I don't know, like I said, whether you'll be needed or not. But all right, thank you.
I could be wrong, but I know, in my personal opinion, I feel like this man just literally lied on the stand. Now, I know what I saw last week, and it looked like clear communication. And also take this into consideration. With the position that he's in, with the technology that he has access to, is there any way that they'll actually be able to trace whether he was or he wasn't actually communicating with the state? Let that sink in. Another play, in my personal opinion. Now, here is where we finna spin right into the state's facts and evidence. Is the state actually presenting new evidence that's actually gonna connect the dots with this actual case? Let's dig.
2022 case, and I've litigated this, and I know the court said it yesterday. In a murder case, God forbid, the in-life photograph is relevant because you have to show that the person was alive, and then is the corpus delicti is no longer living. But this is a conspiracy RICO count. So the overt acts and that's going to be another issue that we argue before your honorable court whenever you call it, but those overt acts don't have to be proven. It just has to be contemplated that that's what the conspiracy is about, and that overt act has been commenced in some way. It could be a lawful act. But here, the state is putting in, or wants to put in through a parent, the loss of a child. That's just unbearable. And whether they're going to cry or show their emotions or not, I'm not so sure that it has much relevance. I don't believe anybody is going to argue that the person wasn't a human being. And under the paragraph 2B of the Good case, the Supreme Court specifically talks about that, it may not even be relevant, and then it would be a waste of time and it would be prejudicial, especially if another photograph is coming in. So I just want it to be waged that that's the objection. And we're going to have another killing in this case, and I know Mr. Williams is not involved in these, but it's wearing on a jury because those things go back to the jurors during deliberation. So I would like the court not to include an in-life photograph, except obviously Instagram or something like that if it's coming in anyway.
All right, well, we'll see how it ends up coming in.
Now, I wanted to make sure that I actually stopped it right here so a lot of people could actually understand what's going on and how the state is actually using this RICO conspiracy to their advantage. Now, with this whole conspiracy theory that the state has, that they're actually presenting evidence that shows that there are a couple of unalivements that may or may not be associated with YSL or the defendants in the courtroom. But here's the interesting thing. With conspiracy, They don't actually have to even prove that the act was actually committed or carried out or completed. Failed mission. Let's just say it was a failed mission, didn't even occur. Because it's a conspiracy, they just have to actually show that there was an actual plan or an agreement for this to actually occur. Whether it does or it doesn't even matter. That's the hit with this actual conspiracy. So when it comes to Thug in this case, man, still definitely does have his actual hands full because again, association can make you guilty, or is it guilty by association? Let's dig.
Okay, let's, I guess the autopsy photos, there's been an offer by the defense for Mr. Ryan to stipulate to the cause of Mr. Holmes, the manner of Mr. Holmes's death.
Yes, Your Honor. In discussing with defense counsel, we asked if they would be willing to stipulate to the autopsy report and the autopsy photos. They decided they do not want to stipulate to the autopsy report and photos, but only to the manner of death. While we understand that Mr. Holmes is only charged with the RICO count.
Mr. Ryan.
Excuse me, Mr. Ryan, I'm sorry. Is only charged with a RICO count, and the murder is an overt act. We still have to show or prove the overt act for the jury to believe that it is a part of the conspiracy. And with that, Your Honor, Ms. D. Williams in her opening statement didn't say these words exactly, but alluded to the fact that her client was innocent of the underlying murder, which was the overt act in this case. She think her words were similar to, he's here, he's been convicted, but that's because he didn't have a good defense, something to that effect. And that was stated in opening. So the state, we believe, still have to prove the underlying overt act, which is the homicide.
Now let's talk about Lil Rod. Now the state's introducing this evidence just to show the connection between Lil Rod and YSL. Now the interesting thing is that they are introducing the unaliving, but again, is there any association with Young Thug and YSL, or is it just guilty by association? Now here's the big thing. The defendant's initial charge was actually overturned. Let that sink in for a sec. But the state is still trying to bring this evidence in because they've actually attached it as an overt act on this whole YSL RICO conspiracy. So how much weight can it really hold if the charge was already dismissed? And even more interesting, there's no solid link between Young Thug and himself. No clear communication tying the alleged boss Young Thug to whatever accusing this defendant of. So what does that mean? It could like the state is actually reaching again, trying to piece together a case based off association rather than hard evidence. Is this something that the defense is definitely going to actually have to exploit in front of the jury just to make it make sense? Now, today, the judge did actually allow a lot of different evidence in that was actually connecting Lil Rod to a lot of these alleged incidents. But again, have we not heard that anybody can be YSL? And it's funny that we're talking about anybody can be YSL because this next clip from the state is definitely going to make you look at everything in another way. Let's dig.
He says that person is trying to put me in slime, but said I got to get put in by you or go to 250 Cleveland. And so for the jury to understand why Blaylock responds, oh, you're going to have to give me $25. And then they continue speaking about, and for Blaylock to say, you're going to be real on slime, you is. This whole conversation is about this individual trying to officially become a part of YSL. And so the state feels that Blaylock's statements are in furtherance of the gang, which needs members and continuously recruits or gets new members.
Yo, stop what you're doing real quick. Hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. It's free. Hit the like button. Share the video. Hit the like button. Let's dig. So what did we learn today from the actual case and the evidence that's about to be presented by the state? Man, what I learned personally is that, hey, Lil Rod might be that one that you call when you want to get that blicky. It also only costs $25 if you want to join YSL. So, yo, y'all make sure y'all super chat. Whatever it is, y'all send the super thanks, $25 to join YSL. You slime, I'm slime, we slime. That's what I learned today. Now, to be fair, the state did introduce a lot of actual evidence that's actually hurtful to Lil Rod. But again, if that's Lil Rod's case that he was actually not convicted of, why is it even being introduced in this case? To enhance the conspiracy. See, the whole state's theory right now is really going to be based on conspiracy. Remember in a few videos back, I said they're about to introduce a few unalivings. This is just the first one. The good thing is they actually failed to connect the dots with Nut. So again, it's going to be kind of hard to make sure that this one isn't being made up. So let's dig. Now you definitely got to wonder, Is the state doing anything and everything they can just to try to get this conviction, even if that means compiling bits and pieces of unrelated evidence into this actual case, just to make the conspiracy look bigger than it really is? And the bigger question is this: are they really playing fair, or is the state playing dirty? Even with the previous judge actually being removed from the actual case due to his actual ex parte, ask yourself, why are we still talking about ex partes in this part of the case? Now, it almost makes you wonder again, is somebody else in the higher ups actually still pulling strings just to aid and assist the case? Or did the state actually just do this with these chains of emails, the events, the ex parte? Was this just another play from the state? Man, y'all jump in the comments, let me know y'all's thoughts. Subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed. Tap the notification bell so you'll make sure you get those drops with these exclusive updates. And remember, the life you save might be your very own. Until next time, I'm your host, Jay. Gone.